back with another guest, with another match preview or match build-up, because by the time this obviously goes live, you guys see this, it'll be a few, 1 or 2 hours before the game. The teams will be confirmed, and Manchester United will be playing Southampton at Old Trafford in what is a must-win game for Manchester United Football Club to get into third place, given the horrendous results by rival teams like Leicester and like Chelsea. This is a must-win game for Manchester United to firmly cement themselves in the top 4. Like I said, I'm joined by Mike from @MatchDay Vlogs, an avid Southampton fan. Please head over to his channel. He makes amazing videos for Southampton Football Club. His socials will be in the description, so please head to his channel and support this guy because he makes amazing videos. And I'm sure he's fairly happy because Southampton's form has been okay actually recently. So, Mike, going into this game, how do you feel about Southampton? How confident do you feel?
I am noticeably more confident than I was when we last spoke on your channel here back in August. Yeah, massively confident. Since we come back from the international break, but the COVID break.
COVID break.
It's definitely been an international break, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, we've been able to get 10 points from potential 15. So this is kind of top half of the table stuff. We've been playing some pretty good football. Danny Ings is still on form. Nathan Redmond had time to come back from injury, so actually that COVID break did us a massive favour. And we just seem to have been able to find a rhythm and also a formation and a nucleus of our team which is working, which is great. We had a couple of wobbles. I think the game against Arsenal was a bit lacklustre, but aside from that, no complaints at all. And of course, to beat Man City when they had so many chances and what felt like 100% possession during that game was fantastic. So yeah, super happy.
What do you think has been the turnaround? Because I still remember, and I'm sure you may remember the 9-0 beatdown that Leicester City sort of gave Southampton.
We get reminded of that a lot, but yeah, that's fine. It's fine.
And at the time, people thinking, you know what, Southampton are going down, they're done, they're finished. You know, Hassan Houghton is probably going to get sacked, and it's almost like now the fortunes have switched. And although Leicester are in a better position because obviously their early season form, Southampton's form technically in the league has been much better than Leicester City's has given that time. So what do you think? Can you point to something specific that's been the that has caused the sort of upturn in Southampton's fortunes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, funny enough, I was having a look back at some of the team sheets from around that era, from the beginning of the season. And there was a lot of talk at the time about Hassan Hüttel's systems and how the fact he's trying to implement this attacking, high-pressing German style of football that's not working well. And there was a lot of questions about our players as whether they are good enough to play these systems. Like they might be foolproof systems that are going to work fantastic, but are the players that we have good enough to play what he's trying to play, the kind of football he's trying to put out there? But also the formations have changed. I mean, we've gone away from playing 5 at the back, trying to have basically 3 central defenders and 2 kind of left and right backs, where they're sort of playing higher up the pitch, so more of a kind of a diamond formation, and moved to this kind of not really like a 4-4-2, but kind of like a 4-2-2-2, where there's a lot more movement going around in front of those defenders. But yeah, definitely Hassan Hüttel knows his players better. There's been a bit of a mix-up with the Emile Højbjerg is looking at a move away from the club. So our recent performances, I think, have been a lot to do with the fact that, okay, Højbjerg has been moved to the bench, where he's obviously looking at a move away from the club, and we brought players in. I mean, Romeu, who's been on the bench for large parts of the season, is now getting in the starting 11 and looking really good. So, but to answer your question, it's basically, I think he knows his players better, the system is working better, and there's just a lot more consistency. Like, I was able to send you a team sheet that I'm confident that we're going to be playing, because back in the early part of the season, right up until Christmas, everyone was just like, I've given up on putting out my my predicted 11 because it's not going to be right, because anything's going to be put out there. But now we've got that that more consistency of knowing, and I think the players and manager know a lot more than they did at the beginning of the season.
It's very strange because, as I now talk about Manchester United, you're almost saying exactly what's in my mind about Manchester United Football Club. So I mean, it's the idea that Manchester United also now in the last 5 games since I don't think we can stress enough, the impact that Bruno Fernandes obviously has had coming into the squad since January. We've been undefeated, I think, in about 17 games in all competitions. We haven't lost in 17 games effectively since Bruno Fernandes. He's not lost a game while in the Manchester United so far. And he has been, it's not that we've had bad players, but that sort of lack of a creative number 10, player is something that Manchester United, I would argue, for quite a few seasons now have desperately lacked, because the likes of Mata, Lingard and Pereira have just not been good enough to sort of fit in that role. And Bruno Fernandes has come and given us something, so he's given us assists, he gives goals, so he is that player. And frankly, for 47 million, it's actually it's pretty good
considering what we have spent in the past.
Yeah, exactly.
He has spent on the past on players, so
absolutely, exactly. So an absolute steal. I mean, his value now must be worth at least double that, at this point in time. So, but it's not just that. It's similar to what you sort of said now. That in the last 5 games, we've effectively picked more or less the starting 11. Now I know, like yourself, I know, yep, that's the starting 11 that's going to play. Give or take injuries or minor rotations. That's the starting 11 that's going to play, because that's our strongest 11, and we have semi-decent backup from the bench to come in and do a job. And I think that has, because having a consistent starting 11, obviously that builds momentum, that builds progress, and there just seems to be a buzz around the team. Obviously, the match will resume. So by the time this goes live, it'll be about an hour and a half or so from kickoff, and I don't anticipate there being any injuries. But yeah, there just seems to be a confidence, a buzz about Manchester United Football Club right now, that has inspired other players like Pogba, like Wan-Bissaka, like Matic and so on. And certainly when I look at even Southampton as well, I think that one of the key areas I'm supporting is having that balance in midfield. When you have a kind of a midfield balance, midfield stability, it kind of peters towards throughout the rest of the sort of the team. And I certainly think part of our problem this season is that we haven't really had that. And whether that's a midfield that sort of is strong, that could help to protect the back 4 or supply creative passes to the forward players. So yeah, it almost feels like we're in a similar, even though we're in different sides of the table, I think we're in similar situations into how we feel like our team is progressing this season.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to just quickly get the Southampton starting 11 sort of up here. So I know that obscures your face, so I apologize.
Let's see that side.
But yeah, just walk me through it and maybe what you expect from some of these players.
Yeah, so I think starting at the top, Ings is going to be starting. I don't think there's any question on that. Obviously, he's still chasing the golden boot. I'd love to see him get it. I think it might be a bit too far now with Mo Salah, picking up a couple of goals at the weekend, and also Jamie Vardy appears to be even getting goals when Leicester are losing. But Shea Adams, I also expect to start. He started very well in recent games, and also, of course, got that wonder goal against Manchester City.
That was a very good.
So he's looking good, and he's been so close on so many times to getting his goals. It's been quite painful to watch him go so long in the season without getting his first Premier League goal. So that's all good. Nathan Redmond, I think he'll start again on the left. When you look at this midfield, it's a bit confusing to see when they're actually on the pitch, because the left side of midfield and the right side of midfield tend to switch over quite a lot. What happens is Redmond tends to cut in on the inside or onto his favoured right foot to take shots. So you'll probably see that. There was a few occasions against Manchester City where he had a couple of opportunities to do that. Oriol Romeu, who I mentioned earlier, is coming to the team. He used to be a player who used to make me quite nervous because when he was on the ball, he didn't really have the kind of pace and energy that he once had. But in recent games, he's looked very, very good, looked very, very confident on the ball. So really playing that whole kind of holding midfield, holding up the ball, looking for the potential passes around, which has been great. Ward-Prowse, again, another firm favourite starter, captain of our side now since Højbjerg made that inclination he wanted to move away from the club. Our set piece taker sadly missed a penalty against Everton in our last game last week, but has scored some incredible free kicks, and really his consistency there has been fantastic. Stuart Armstrong, again, a fan favourite now with his fast, aggressive play, kind of a bit of a that sort of attacking midfielder role where he'll be pushing forward as well. He's been really cool with a few injuries earlier on in the season, which has always been a bit of a worry, but definitely adds another dynamic to our play, really. Bertrand, because in all honesty, I don't think we have another left back. Our squad is that shallow. That's taking nothing away from him. I still think he's a solid player, and a great asset for us. And when he plays well, you definitely notice it. I mean, he's scored some great goals as well. Bednarek, again, great shot stopper. Consistently been there. It's been linked away from the club a few times as well. I know sort of Chelsea and the likes have been interested in him. So he's definitely at the back there. Jack Stevens. Jack Stevens is a funny one because I remember it wasn't that long ago where you would see Jack Stevens in the starting 11, you'd be seriously worried about conceding many, many goals. But he has just turned into an absolute beast of a defender. And so, it's been fantastic to see. And Kyle Walker-Peters, who we've effectively got on loan from Tottenham at the moment, but he is exactly the kind of player Hasenhüttl was looking for. And I'd be very surprised if we didn't make that loan deal a permanent deal. Our other right back would be Jan Valery, but he's looked incredibly nervous in the games that we've had with him play recently. So I would be very surprised if Walker-Peters doesn't start, mainly because he causes teams problems. So you'll see that right back isn't really a right back. He's a winger. He flies up and down that right wing. So, and will again be looking to cause problems by pushing forward, pushing past the halfway line and getting balls into the box. And Alex McCarthy in goal, again, I would still say he's number one. He had a couple of errors, but really to keep out what felt like 900 shots against Manchester City was fantastic. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm quite confident on this starting 11, really, to sort of show what we're looking at.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. And I guess for the benefit of Manchester United fans, even though this really shouldn't be this start should be new unless, like I said, we have injuries, which I don't think we do. De Gea will obviously be in goal. I think I think every United fan, if they're honest, would say that he hasn't had the best season. So and there is possibly a mistake in him. So I think it's something that potentially Southampton could exploit. That said, so we still have, I think, the second best defensive record league in the world. So even though we have made errors, it's not been to the point that where we aren't where we are. So, but I think that's obviously keeping it. But he's going to obviously start. You're going to have Maguire and Lindelof. Maguire and Lindelof, I think, have been solid. I think Solskjaer wants to stick with obviously this pairing as he's done for handless of games. He's not going to obviously change the team. The big thing with when these twos, from a weaker point of view, is that they often get done with pace. So especially Harry Maguire. So defending set pieces and corner stuff like that is usually fairly straightforward. I don't think they're often done from set pieces, but I think long ball over the top and a fast runner. Now I'm not sure how fast Danny Ings is. So I think Danny Ings will be a bit more obviously aggressive. So I'm not entirely sure how fast he'll be. So if he's not particularly fast, I expect Maguire and Lindelof to be able to handle him. But if it's not him or it's someone quick like a Walker-Peters running at those two, it might cause them problems. Luke Shaw on the left, who I think has actually improved quite a bit this season. And one of the things you notice with how Ole Gunnar is playing is that Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka tend to push a lot further up the field now. yes, they're certainly Wan-Bissaka's attacking play could still be improved, but they're at times, especially against Villa and Bournemouth, they were effectively were parked on the edge of their, at the edge of the area. They were just there, and you maybe just had like Matic or Lindelof, just sort of just dropping back. So they'll be pushing really high up. Wan-Bissaka's crosses might not be the best. He still has got quite a few assists, and obviously Luke Shaw's a threat from that side. So I think those will start. But the midfield is where the real gem right now of Manchester United is right now. So the engine room, and I think that if Southampton are going to get anything from this game, they have to cause this midfield problems, because Matic is essentially our stabilizer. So like his distribution going forward is great, so he often starts the attack. But he's got the composure enough to win the ball and help to protect, obviously, the back four in front of him. So the only thing with Matic, much like Maguire and Lindelof, is the lack of sort of pace. So if you do nick the ball off him, like I think against Villa, I think he lost the ball, and I think Villa were through, and then he almost scored. It's possible. So if you can put pressure on Matic, make him lose the ball, potentially he'll make a mistake, but his composure has been a lot better, So going on to Pogba, who seems to have gone up another level in terms of consistency. He's not playing as further forward as previous, because of the likes of Bruno Fernandes, so he's dropping a bit deeper, which helps. But he's playing that kind of box to box for the run. The thing about Pogba and Bruno Fernandes is just that their ability to just create things, to make that insane killer pass that you can just sort of pick someone through an eye of a needle, So I think the one that he played a good pass against Spurs, to Rashford, who should have really finished that. And even last game when he scored that goal, that third goal against Aston Villa, to just kind of have the vision to see it, he'll obviously be quite dangerous. Bruno Fernandes, I don't think I need to go into about Bruno Fernandes really. We've seen that he has everything in terms of obviously his ability. I think that he's showing to some rival fans that he's got a bit of a darker side as well in the way that he does does certain things. So I'd advise the Southampton players to avoid trying to challenge him in the box, because there's a very good chance a penalty might be awarded, so just try
angles, yeah.
We won't go into whether it's a penalty. I personally don't think it was a penalty, so
did you sorry to jump in, did you see the one yesterday with the Aston Villa and Jack Grealish stood on a player and fell over, and he originally was awarded a penalty and then he got overturned, and I was thinking, oh.
To be fair, there was a similar thing in the Wolves game, and that was given a penalty. Although you could argue that I think there was contact, but he did technically stand on his player. But like it was a very interesting decision as United fans. So although I would, the only thing I would say is that even if they didn't get the penalty, I still think United would have beaten Villa. I still think that it would have been 0-0. And aside from the result yesterday, Villa up until that point never really looked like they were going to be scoring a lot of goals, really. So it was it just was. But yeah,
as you were, continue.
Yeah, no. No, it's a good point, because I just want to just say it because he will Bruno Fernandes will look to go into the Southampton area and cause the defenders a lot of problems, So I imagine that Southampton will be watching, going, right, please, under no circumstances do we go in for a challenge through him, So, but despite that, so his set piece delivery is second to none. Again, his passing distribution as well. I think the big thing on Bruno's weakness right now is the fact that, like, when he gets a bit frustrated, he just starts shooting from different places. So again, the key to mobilizing him is to cause him to be more frustrated, and that'll cause him to take speculative shots, and then he'll start to lose form. Lastly, the others around them, Rashford obviously he's not been that great, so he's coming back in. He's starting to climb back into it. He was coming over a stress fracture issue, but he's making his contributions. Mason Greenwood, I think, is certainly one to watch. Like, he's just come out of nowhere. Ollie's already said, like, you can't drop this guy because he just keeps on scoring. Every game he's started now, he's basically been scoring goals. And I think the concerning thing with Greenwood is just the fact that he's two-footed. So although he has a better left foot, there's really no difference between his left foot and his right foot. And the power he's able to generate on both feet. Right. If you watch both goals against Bournemouth, he literally scores both those outfields, one with his left foot, one with his right foot from outside the box. And you're like, how did you do that?
The power that he's able to get is crazy. I was trying to try that ball. I can't remember which goal it was, but it just seemed the amount of power he got from kicking that ball just.
And I think that was on his in quote weaker foot, So it's so when obviously you're defending, you're like, you get him on his weaker foot, It's like you're not really going to be able to do that with Mason because there's no I'll just strike on my right foot, strike my left. So coming from that right hand side, I think that he will be on his. And right now, I think he's just. I don't even know what to say to stop Mason Greenwood. Other than that, he's quite unpredictable. I think he's the unpredictable part of this United team right now because you don't really know. He can shoot from in the box, from outside the box. He can dribble past players. He cannot make it. Aside from just fouling him, I don't think there's really a lot in terms of a blatant weaker area right now. So and then lastly, obviously Martial up top, who might not score goals, but I think what he'll do is he'll sort of attract defenders away from him to create space for the other teams. So that's a long discussion about him. But going into obviously the score predictions, and we had a similar sort of. I remember on your channel, I think you went for a draw. But has that as a night's sleep, has that changed, or are you still going for that?
No, I think I am still going for that, and I'll go for that for two reasons. Because just for your viewers, I went for a 2-2 on the Matchday Vlogs channel preview, and the reason why I went for that was basically your attack and your defence, because I can see us causing Maguire and Lindelof problems, but I can also see a lot of strike force with Mason Greenwood and Bruno Fernandes. So. I think there will be goals in this game. I'm setting up the perfect 0-0 now, aren't I? But I do still think there'll be goals in the game, and I would hope that Danny Ings can add one, and maybe we can see another goal from Shea Adams. I would absolutely love that. But it's kind of tricky to see, really, because now that this Manchester City ban has been overruled, so they'll be in the Champions League. Those Champions League spots are those top four now. So really, we're looking at the European slots where it's incredibly congested. So what we're playing for is probably just pride, but what you guys are playing for is actual Champions League football. So, but yeah, I'm going for a 2-2.
Fair enough. I'm obviously going to go for the Manchester United win. For some of the reasons that you just stated, I think that the players will know, especially because of how hard they've worked up until this point, because we were nowhere near Leicester City or Chelsea. It doesn't feel that long ago, and now we're almost within touching distance of being in the top four for the first time this season. The players will know that. It's obviously at Old Trafford as well. As far as I'm aware, I don't think any players are injured. We've had a good, I think when we last played, it must have been at least 5 days, I think so, of rest to recuperate. And the way the United are playing, even if we concede first, we still it almost awakens us, so we still seem to be able to pick up and score goals, So if I'm going for a score prediction right now, I think that Southampton will score, but I'm going to go for a 3-1. I think I'm going to go for a 3-1. I did say 2-1 I think before, but I'm just a bit more confident now because I think that we've got at least enough firepower to at least sort of cause the Southampton defense problems, and I'm going to go for 3-1. Yeah,
I remember there was a great game that we eventually lost, sadly. Was it last? Might have been last
season, wasn't it? Yeah, 3-2, I think. Lukaku.
It was an unbelievable goal from Jan Valery, and all of our goals, and there was a free kick from James Ward-Prowse,
wasn't it? Yeah,
and then you guys scored some more unbelievable goals. It was just like this complete goal fest where you had goal of the month in one game alone. So if it has to be a 3-1 victory to you guys tonight, then I hope there's plenty of goal of the months in there. But
I agree with that. If it's an entertaining game to the end, so and that's one of the things at least I like about these teams, that at least we seem to be playing a bit more entertaining football that gets you engaged rather than boring, lackluster. I don't know. You probably remember when what was that guy, Claude Puel, I think, was at Southampton. Even I was tuned in to watch Southampton. I was like, man, this is this is so boring, man. Come on.
There's a joke I put out on my channel that basically said I try to go into the club shop and get Claude Puel out on the back of the shirt, but it was denied because my form of attack wasn't negative enough. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's so dull. I mean, you probably referred to the Jose Mourinho Man United years, where effectively a 1-0 win was a champagne moment for him, but it was pretty boring for most Man United fans watching.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we got like 48 points, and we were like safe within. But everyone was just like pure out at the end of the season just because they were so bored of the football. So, yeah, not good times.
Indeed. Right. Thanks for coming on, Mike. Really, really appreciate it. Like I said, guys, everyone who's watching, please head into the description, head over to Matchday Vlogs. Mike does very great work for Southampton and just in general, so please head over. His socials are in the video description. Support the guy. Head over there. I'm sure I'll be over there after the game, depending on what the result is. Or you never know. If it's bad, I might be hiding. Who knows?
You're still welcome in the live stream. We'll be going live. So if you're feeling up for it, then we'll leave the link open for you. So unless it's going really badly, and I'll kick you out. But
okay. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care, everybody. All the best and cheers.